O'clock. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to Adams Park, the home of Championship football. The Blues are going up, just about got the voice back. Forgive some weary eyes, but the Chairboys partied long into the night last night, celebrating a fantastic victory at Wembley Stadium. We want to know how you celebrated and rejoiced in what was a momentous occasion in our history. Those of you with longer memories and the grey hairs like I've got will remember 93, 94, and obviously more recently 2015. And we've had some ups and downs over at Wembley Way, but last night was just a most spectacular evening. And do you know what? Just thinking about the scenes at the end there and the tears of joy on the pitch, to really do bring it all back. I have a co-host today, and it's not Mr. Pete Kuhig. Pete is otherwise engaged today, beginning preparations, of course, for our championship. So please welcome, I've been asked to be quiet with a sore head. I'm sure there's a few sore heads. Mine's all right. I was on the Coca-Cola last night. But please welcome into the room someone who was also, like myself, privileged to be at Wembley Stadium last night, Mr. Phil Catchpole. Phil, how you doing, mate? How's things?
I'm good. I'm a little bit tired, like you. I wasn't on the booze last night, but I didn't get hardly any sleep. And then I was back in the newsroom this morning. I was on the breakfast show at Three Counties at 7 a.m. along with Rob. And it's all a bit of a blur still, to be honest. And I still don't think it's quite sunk in yet, if I'm being brutally honest.
No. I had the moment of realization when you wake up first thing and you sort of assess your life really, really quickly. And I'm like, why do I feel tired but also like deliriously happy? And just one look at the phone, and I think it was 59 WhatsApp messages, and just just so much love coming the way of everyone at Wycombe Wanderers, and deservedly so, because it's just been an incredible year, and that culmination. I mean, talk us through your feelings at the final whistle, Phil. You were with Beanie there on the back row at Wembley.
It was so strange because having Beanie there was fantastic, because, you've got someone with the experience who's been in that position in a playoff final at Wembley in a Wycombe shirt 5 years ago, leading going into injury time at the end of extra time back then, and still coming out on the losing team. So you've got that experience alongside you. I've seen that as well. I know everyone connecting with the club is aware of that too. And I knew that's what everyone would be thinking, because it's human nature. But there was a certain calmness about how Wycombe approached that last 5 minutes, and it never really felt in doubt. So inside, I could feel this kind of the expectancy of the whistle going, and I could see it unfolding. But still the release of when the whistle went. I've just been listening back to the commentary this afternoon, and Beanie's never one to be too shy when celebrating at the best of times, but last night was something special. And then just to be able to see those scenes live, I know the cameras are picking them all up as well, but looking to my left, seeing you and Bill and the Wycombe directors and Pete and everyone associated with the club, the squad members who weren't part of the bench, and seeing what it all meant to them as well. And then just seeing what came through on my phone afterwards was just phenomenal, really. I just still taking it all in. I keep saying, I still can't believe it.
It was, I think I've seen the stat today that every time we've scored first in a game this season, we haven't lost. I think the only time we did was Tranmere in the FA Cup. And I remember in the first half, we had that lead. Oxford was sort of knocking it about, and we just felt resilient. Anthony Stewart was clearing absolutely everything. And so at half time, I think we were relatively okay. But obviously Matt Bloomfield coming off, it turns out there was some sort of heat exhaustion. I think Matt was quite ill in the changing room at half time. Just the massive pitch, the tracking back of the Oxford movement, and it was such an energy sapping evening, tied in with all the physiological kind of the nerves and the tension that comes with it. That was a change. Oxford came back strong. The goal was a fluke in my eyes for Oxford, but certainly that shifted momentum. And I don't know about you, Phil, but with sort of 15 minutes to go, Rocky's come up with two great saves, and I'm sort of thinking if we get to extra time, we've done all right here.
Well, it was strange, wasn't it? Because the amount of possession, we all knew what was going to happen because we'd seen what had gone on this season, and much has been made, especially from teams and people who don't quite get what Wycombe's about, and they don't like our style of football. But I think people could see the way the pattern of the game was going to develop even before things kicked off. But we played the bigger moments better, and that's what made me confident. Was James Henry had that fantastic chance for Oxford at 1-1. And I've just seen it back from another angle, and I was like, how on earth has he not had a shot? Why has he tried to square it? Because he's got much more of a chance of scoring, but B, he can't get the ball past Anthony Stewart last night. I don't know what a performance from Anthony Stewart. And then I think the passage of play that turned the game for us was so Wycombe, and was the reason why we are so successful, because I know Jack Grimmer underhit a back pass to Ryan Alsop, and Marcus Brown, who I think was probably one of the most talented technically players on the pitch last night, had almost turned his back and didn't chase it down. And it would have been a great chance for Oxford had he done so, but he didn't for whatever reason. And then Ryan clears it. And then the next thing we know, we've got a penalty and we're back in the lead. And that summed up Wycombe for me, not just for last night, but for this entire season, because they chased everything down. And if Marcus Brown had done that, then we might not be talking here today, Matt. We might be drowning our sorrows, or we might be talking about a penalty shootout win or something else. But instead, we're talking about a famous Wycombe victory. And that is the fine margins. And I always respect Gareth and Dobbo for this, because you think about things that they say and you think, well, that can't make that much difference. And they say it doesn't matter if it's 0.0001%, they add up over a season. And we saw that last night. And so proud of what they've done for the club and their ethos. And it was so good to see that come to fruition last night.
I think, we're going to have some guests on shortly. Rob Couig is joining us. He rang me just before we came on air. He's just returned from a meeting, so he's getting to the office. He'll load up the computer and join us very quickly. Just fantastic comments. Lots of shouts out, such as Kieran Mason for Anthony Stewart. What a performance that was. Simon Rylander about the post-match scenes. I mean, it was incredible. In the end, we were shooed out of Wembley at 11 o'clock, I think. All the players were out on the pitch having their photos taken. We were told the groundsman wasn't best pleased, so we kind of got ushered off the pitch. But every player, deservedly so, wanted their moment with the trophy on the Wembley pitch. It was devastating not to have the backdrop of supporters and not be able to wave the trophy at the fans and pick out the players' loved ones in the crowd. But obviously we know this hasn't been a normal final, a normal playoff campaign. And so a new normal was created. The dressing room scenes, lively, as you can imagine. Just lots of photos, lots of hugs, lots of taking it all in, really. Some of the boys were sat there just sort of staring into space. You try not to disturb them, but at the same time, you want to know what's going through your head right now. Can you really put this into words? So that was fantastic to see. And then they were sort of singing their way out of the changing room onto the bus, and there was a party that ensued. But it was such a special occasion, and what's great about our changing room, I think, is there's no cliques. Every player is hugging every other player and talking through what it meant to them. Some players are at the start of their career, and they may well go on to high levels and play at Wembley and achieve more success in future. Some, that may have been their final Wembley appearance, their final opportunity, a shot of promotion glory, and didn't they take it? So, I mean, that was absolutely fantastic. Just to go through a few more comments. I mean, there's been so many coming in. Gary reckons it was better than the day he got married. I said it was my best day of the year, but my boy got born just before Christmas, so that was last year. That's old news. Steve Shea, so happy today. Lee Carlton, thanks for joining in. Ross as well. More shout outs for Anthony Stewart. We're going to get some guests on in a minute. I do have a companion alongside me. I don't know if you can see. We've still got some of these cutouts left. We should charge them double price now, I think. But at the same time, rather than just settle for cardboard, why don't we have the main man himself? Because
Let's stay a distance, man.
Yeah,
although we were hugging each other last night. Yeah,
you stay in shot. Rachel Slatter, amazing game. Harry Ware, Ryan Alsop. Gaffer, talk us through. Talk us through your night and your morning. Obviously, you've come in to see us. You've done a bit of media, but how did you feel this morning, waking up and realizing you're now a championship manager?
The most amazing feeling. The words can't do it justice. Honestly, I think the pictures speak for themselves and the videos speak for themselves. They were just so good. And the boys just delivered above and beyond the game. It was a tough game. Oxford are a very good side. We knew their strengths. First half, we knew exactly what we wanted to do to them, and I thought we worked a treat. And then second half, they changed with Kelly coming on in midfield and then bombing forward and trying to find the pockets where Alex Patterson was running his socks off, trying to deny the space. But eventually, they did get one back, albeit lucky, but they probably deserved it on the whole state of play. And I think the drinks break actually was a big momentum changer for me. I thought when they were really on top, if anything's worked in our favour this playoff campaign, it's been no fans in the stadium, because I've made our subs be vocal and the people around, and that's helped. And then these drinks breaks, they changed the game into quarters, and so after that drinks break, I thought the momentum changed again back to us. And you need a match winner. And Fred Onyedinma has done his bit more than once in these playoffs, and it's a fantastic run, and an obvious penalty, and up steps Joe Jacobson, who missed the penalty on Sunday in training, by the way, and slotted that home. I don't usually watch the penalties, but I got my eyes firmly on that one, and all I was saying to myself was, JJ hit it down the middle, and he obliged, and what a finish. The boys stood out firm, blocks, tackles, and that moment was just up there with everything I've ever achieved, in football as a player and in football as a manager. Just immense, and Wycombe are in the championship, which is just still saying it. It's just brilliant. Love it. Big smile on my face, and I'm sure it's going to stay for a while.
Yeah, I'm smiling too, reading the comments that are coming in. A lot of love for you, Gaffer, as you can imagine. It was bittersweet, wasn't it, not having the fans? I just said before that you came on the show that you wanted to take the trophy over to your loved ones in the crowd and to show it off to the fans, because they played such a big part throughout the whole season. It made for an entirely different experience, didn't it?
Yeah, it was, and again we're very adaptable at Wycombe. I think one of my things over the years in charge has been adaptability, whether it's systems on the pitch, whether it's having to work with the training ground, or because of the lack of finance, we've had to do other things, or make up our own development days or whatever. And that was adaptability. There's no fans there. It's a different scenario, and my boys adapt well. They accept things and adapt really quickly, and it's something we've built ourselves on. So really proud, pleased. The trophy is locked away somewhere. We definitely didn't take it out with us last night. I didn't want to leave it anywhere. Not that we could go anywhere really. We just ended up in a bar somewhere, and then back here I think a few people came for a couple of beers, and that was it. But it's an amazing experience, and like I said, a day I'll always remember.
Somebody who couldn't be there with us because they were 5,000 miles away, but I'm sure was having the same kind of emotions that we were going through watching the game, joins us now. And Rob, it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us. How are you coping today, Rob?
I've been up for the past 10 hours. I did get about 3 hours of sleep. I had a great night. Just the excitement of it all. And of course, you guys all know me. I'm up this morning thinking, okay, what do we have to do now to get our game up to the next level? I gave both Pete and Gareth off today, so I'm delighted to see Gareth up and around. I suspect it'll be a while before we see Pete. He was our designated partier for the family. So it's what a wonderful thing, and to be allowed to be part of it. From my perspective, is just huge. And I think Gareth would agree with me, this is so great for the boys on this team who have been through it all, and particularly the guys who have been there all this time. For Gareth and Dabo and his staff, who went through what they have gone through and brought us from where we are. For the fans, for the supporters. I mean, think about it. We are essentially a fan-owned club still. Yeah, I mean, I dare say you won't find two bigger fans than Pete and me. Well, maybe Missy, but that's it. So, I mean, what a great journey. And so, from our perspective, we just are fortunate that we were allowed to be part of it and participate. And the only thing I regret is, God, but I am like 10,000 Wycombe fans. To have been in that stadium last night would have been just everything. But you kind of felt like you were there. and part of it has to do with my man Blunt. He he brings it to us. We can sense it. You can feel the agony. And somebody asked me early this morning, Gareth, when I felt comfortable. And I said, at about the 5-minute mark of extra time, I started to feel like we were going to make sure this thing went right.
Me too. I was with you on that one.
So, yeah. But congratulations again, Gareth and everybody, and to the community, to this Wickham community. They deserve a championship, and thank you for allowing us to be a small part of it.
Phil, there's a great photo of you, Phil, in 2014, and we talked about 5 minutes of injury time. You're walking along the front stand at Plainmoor Torquay, 5 minutes left. Bristol Rovers had scored in that time, or if we'd shipped 3 goals, Wickham Wanderers would have disappeared into non-league, and who knows what the route would be back. You followed the story, sort of volunteering in radio and getting yourself into the great position you're in now at BBC Three Counties. Over that time, you're a fan as well. What has it meant to you to be part of that and to culminate with last night at Wembley?
Well, there's so many levels to this because, as a boy, I was on the terrace, when Martin O'Neill was the manager. So I've loved the club as a fan. And, all my mates from school, they still stand in the same part of the terrace. And the older ones who've had kids now are in the family stand. So they're still there on match day. I often think about them when I'm in the press box. So I've got that level of fandom that, that I really get what the club's about. And that's the core of it, really. And then when I started volunteering, it was pretty much the time that Gareth took over. And in fact, I remember my first game as a reporter for the BBC really, really well because Gareth had to show me how to use the box because I'd literally just been sent it. And I was like, I don't know. And I think Gaz turned his own mic on that night. And that was it. So it was kind of learning on the job and an amazing opportunity and brilliant experience. But that aside, what an incredible story to cover for anybody, really, fan or no fan, because this has just been one of the most phenomenal football stories from Plainmoor to Wembley last night, including a stop at Wembley in 2015 and Chesterfield and Tottenham and Aston Villa. Whenever people ask me what it's like to cover a football team and a football team I support, the answer is always, it's never dull at Wickham Wanderers. And it never is. It just keeps getting better and better. Something always happens. And it's not just the football, it's the stories and the characters to do with the club. Because Wickham were non-league when I started going in 1987. They were certainly non-league when I really fell in love with the club, when Martin O'Neill was a manager. And it's kept that spirit, it's kept that ethos. And I really hope it will continue to do so when it goes into the championship. And I'm sure it will, because the characters, the players, the staff, the fans, the people around Adams Park, they are what make this football club. Yes, the stuff on the pitch is phenomenal, but it's the people involved and the stories around it that have really made doing this job an absolute privilege and a pleasure. And, to cut my teeth as a journalist at the ripe old age of late 30s, I couldn't think of a better place to do it and with better people, because the stories have been brilliant and the access that we get has been amazing. And, I feel blessed to have been able to do it.
Guys have just come back. He's been playing receptionist. We're
a multi-talented, multi-dimensional group. And Gaz just demonstrated it from being a receptionist to just don't ask him for coffee. He's on the air right now. Other than that, we're ready to go.
He didn't get the sale though, Rob. The guys walked away empty-handed. So.
I need to know how to work the till.
Matt, you need to talk to him. You know the rule. Don't let him out.
I hear we made a few quid last night, Rob. Hey.
Well, the other side of it is I've been looking this morning. You'll be shocked to hear that Don sent me a note early with everybody's expected bonuses. The good news, Garrett, the boys get their bonuses, the coaches get their bonuses, even the managers get their bonus. But
there's not much left for the players. The new players.
It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to be able to do.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, we've got some fans in the waiting room, and I think it's really important that those that weren't able to join us last night are able to come and say hello. So I'm going to start with Tom, who I think was first to arrive. Tom, how are you doing?
I don't know, actually. It's not sunk in yet. I don't know what to say. What are you supposed to say? What do you want me to say?
You're a bit like me, Tom, at the moment. I'm still Championship is just incredible for the club.
Yeah, it'll sink in. It might take a day or several, but it's just, I don't know.
Talk us through your viewing experience, Tom. Were you on your own? Were you, probably following some social media action as well and seeing what everyone was saying?
Yeah, with family and as it was for the semis, trying to try and make the best of it in your own way. And the guys certainly made the best of it. So we naturally, bundle in the living room and champagne spillages. And, I think it was, trying to channel what was going on at Wembley. But, it's all just a bit, I don't know. I just don't know what to, I don't think anyone can prepare themselves for it, can they? It's just, I think back to a chat actually I had with Phil last summer. I don't know if he remembers this, but we were sat just before Rob and Pete came along, just thinking, what's going to happen? Everyone knows the story, how many players turned up for pre-season and what the expectations were and what the predictions were. And, when you trace everything back to that, and it's 12 months to the day yesterday since our first friendly where trialist was making up the lineup. And, it's, no one can say we don't deserve this. No one can say we don't deserve this. And
a good story about 12 months to the day, Tom, was yesterday, 12 months ago, I made the phone call to Jack Grimmer because we were in the process of losing Jason McCarthy. And me and Dobbo were driving home from the Barnett family thinking, racking our brains about right backs. We need a decent right back in. And for some reason, Jack popped into my head. Obviously, he'd done well against us at Coventry. I called him. He was training with Notts County, and he said, "I'll be down there. I'll be down on Monday." And that was the story of Jack Grimmer. I mean, and they've all got stories like that. Players have been released. Players haven't been told they're good enough, and players. I think one of my players came yesterday and said, "Gaffer, this is like misfits all coming together and achieving." And I said, "Look, I said you come together as one, and it was a great moment. They're a real proving everyone wrong that it's not everything. It's not everything being the best players, the best heart, biggest team, and that's what we are."
Gaffer, I suspect you'd agree with me. The best players are those who play the best when the most is on the line. All the guys who can score when the games don't mean much, you can throw them aside. I like guys who show up, and maybe this is the trial lawyer in me, who perform when you need to perform. You find me a guy who performed as well as Anthony Stewart in that league, who did yesterday. It's hard. The only guy who comes close is a guy who plays right next to him with Darius. I mean, even for me, who knows nothing about football, outstanding play. And I have to tell you, you asked Tom where he was watching it. In our house in St. Francisville, my brother Kevin, who the Gaffer knows is an acknowledged expert on soccer, football, and my brother Sam, who knows nothing about it, we're all sitting in one room. And by coincidence, we had to sit there because that's where we had won the prior game or the prior series. So we were all there, and Missy and their wives are in the other room. And all of a sudden, Kevin turns and says, "Something's horrible has happened." I said, "What's that?" "Missy thinks she knows the game now. She's explaining to the others what's going right and what's going wrong." Just a wonderful time. And look, that's what it's about. So, but great players perform when the stakes are the highest. And that's what we had. That's Matt will tell you, I've said, we're not Little Wickham. We are Wickham. And it's a simple but important distinction. Because when you play as big as our guys did, when it was all on the line, they can go toe-to-toe with anybody.
Absolutely. Thanks to everyone who's leaving comments. Tom, one of our old teachers, actually, Mr. Booth. I'm a little bit older than you, Tom, but Stephen Booth got in touch. takes it back.
Yeah.
Before we leave you and move on to someone else, you've got the gaffer and Rob's attention. If there's anything you want to ask or just get off your chest and say at the end of an incredible season.
I don't know, just one of the things I think that I noticed last night was I think 5 of the starting 11, they're either back here or, they'd left and come back in various circumstances. And there's something that draws people back. Like I think Fred symbolises the whole of Wycombe at the moment in a way. Just, he's wanted here. He wants to be here. He said when he came back, he sensed something special was going to happen. And there's just a pull, obviously, that, draws people back here. And, long may that continue. I think that's played a big part in it.
Yeah, no, totally agree.
Well, what draws them back is the guy sitting next to Matt and his staff and the atmosphere that they put together and the support that they show these guys. And we talk about support. A lot of it's love, loving the players and the players loving being there. It's something you can't teach. It's something that you can't instruct. People know it because it's genuine, and that's why they come back. And look, it's not, and the gaffer will tell you, it's not all, you're the greatest, you're the greatest. There's some tough love there too from time to time. So
great stuff. Well, Tom, thanks very much for joining us. We've got some other people
All right.
lined up in the waiting room. So thanks very much for coming on.
Guys,
We'll see you again soon. Take care.
all the best.
Going to go straight to someone who has got actually a great story to tell from last night's game, and I'm going to call Miriam into the stream. Miriam, how you doing? She's gone. She's been dipping in and out of the waiting room.
It was a good story, but it'll wait.
It's worth telling. Hopefully Miriam will come back. Let's have Ollie. Ollie's been there waiting.
Well,
There he is.
yeah, I've literally been wearing this for ages. It's my lucky shirt as well. Yeah, Tyle from last Friday gave it to me as well. Yeah, Tyle Woodward. He was
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What did you think of the game last night, Ollie? How were your nerves for the whole game?
I wasn't as nervous as the previous game. I was just really, as soon as we scored, I knew we would do it. That's just how we are.
Absolutely. And how did you celebrate after the final whistle?
I went mental. I was crying as well, genuinely.
Ollie, you weren't the only one. Grown men were reduced to tears last night. What's your message for the gaffer or for Rob, Ollie?
Well done. Just well done. You guys are brilliant at what you do.
You guys are brilliant, Ollie, as well. We couldn't do it without you guys. So keep the support going. The shirt you can wear proud now, knowing that it's a championship shirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Ollie, when the fixtures come out, what's the first one you're going to look for in the championship? I know not all of the teams are confirmed at the moment, but who are you looking forward to playing?
Probably the team who comes 17th in the Prem, because then that'll be a really big game for Wycombe and it will bring a lot of support into it. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very clever.
It's amazing, isn't it? I don't know if you were there when we played Aston Villa in the Cup a few years ago. Did you go to that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, then we were League Two and they were Premier League, and there is a chance we could meet in the Championship next year, which obviously we'll see. That's incredible. Have you got one last message before we? I think Miriam's back in the waiting room. You've got one last message.
Go on.
Fantastic, Ollie. Thanks very much for joining us. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.
Well done. Thanks, mate. Bye bye. Right. Yes. There we go. Right, Miriam, I think you're back. Are you there?
There
Miriam.
she is.
Yes, I'm here. How are you?
We're good, thank you, Miriam. How are you doing? Have you recovered?
What a night. I haven't stopped smiling. I haven't come down yet. Unbelievable.
I alluded to the fact you've got an interesting story to tell, and it relates to the cutouts that were with us and, staring onto the pitch from above. What was your story behind that?
Yes, well, obviously not being able to be there for the home leg, I decided I was going to send my dog Ramsey. You might have noticed him sat right behind Kevin Cooing actually for the home leg. And then once we got to Wembley, I decided it was the perfect opportunity to get one over on my football-hating husband, who I've tried for 8.5 years to get him to go to a match with me, and he's refused. I've had 2 tickets last time we were at Wembley 2015, would not go with me. Well, he's deployed right now. He's been deployed since the 3rd of January. He's overseas and he had no choice. He was at Wembley. I photoshopped his head on the map of Bloomfield and he went.
That's fantastic. Fantastic.
Brilliant story.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell Kevin, who was breathing heavily down his shoulder in that Fleetwood game too.
I think we've lost Miriam. I think unusually for Wickham, it's not us with the dodgy Wi-Fi. I think that's Miriam at home there. Let's just see. I don't know if there's a Luke in the waiting room, but we can't see his video. Phil, I think that's an interesting question in terms of games to look forward to next season. As a 3 counties correspondent, there's obviously a chance that Watford could get sucked into the relegation battle. I think they've picked up recently, but some fantastic names awaiting us in the Championship.
Yeah, I mean, from a purely selfish perspective, the lack of motorway time for some of the London games is going to be great. QPR, possibly Fulham, maybe Brentford, Millwall, possibly Charlton. So yeah, we might have a bit less time spent together on the motorway, Matt, which is always a positive. But I was looking at the table this morning with bleary eyes and just thinking of some of those stadiums. Nottingham Forest, European champions twice. I can't wait to go to the City Ground if they're still in the Championship next season. It's places like that, and this isn't just about watching Wycombe play there. It's just about the club being associated with these names of football now. It's just mind-boggling. I mean, I keep saying this to people. The first Wycombe game I went to, they played Bromley in the Isthmian League, and I think I was 8 years old. If someone had told me then that I'd be supporting and following a team that would then be in the same division as all these amazing names, Sheffield Wednesday, Nottingham Forest, Norwich City, possibly Aston Villa. I mean, it's just, even as an 8-year-old, I probably would have said, no, you're absolutely crazy. This can't happen. And yet here we are, in my lifetime. And it's a tremendous story. I think it restores faith in football. I think yesterday was a really interesting day for football because in the afternoon, we heard Manchester City had overturned their ban for European football, and everyone was moaning about how money is ruining the game and it's no soul in football anymore. But I tell you what, there's a lot of heart and soul at Wembley last night, and I think a lot of people who maybe not really into football or maybe disillusioned by football would have seen those scenes either live or read about them this morning or seen it on the news or heard about it. And I really hope it underlines that football is so important to the culture of our country and our fans and our people, because it shows you that not just in football, if you've got heart, soul and belief, you can get on and achieve things and do things in life. And, football is a great way to communicate that message. And I thought yesterday was a really interesting bookend for football because on one hand, you've got City, and then on the other hand, you've got us lot showing everyone how it should be done. And really, really proud to be associated and a fan of the club and, doing the bit for football in general.
Guys, looking at some of the clubs, I mean, you've led us to some of your former clubs. You've managed at Cambridge and at Port Vale. We played QPR and friendlies. Blackburn and Preston are 2 names that, if they don't make the playoffs, how proud will you be?
It's proud. Obviously, as my ex-clubs as a player, but I'm sort of in planning mode already again. And I'm looking forward to now. Getting stuck into the summer months, getting the team right. I'm already, the cogs are turning in my head as people are talking, thinking about what we need to do now to give a good account of ourselves in the Championship. We don't want to waste all this hard work getting there just for a one season hit. We want to try and build again. We've got the perfect platform with Rob coming in. The finances obviously will increase with the basic payments and hopefully sponsorships and crowds and things like that. So let's try and do this. And we're not saying let's go and spend millions and millions to do it, but we're renowned for, off smaller budgets, making the absolute most out of things. And I'm looking forward to all those clubs, every single club in that Championship, hitting our wits. I've got a great staff, Dobbo and myself. We've had Aston Villa in the past, we've had Tottenham games in the past, we've played Millwalls and cup games like that, and we've Reading at the start of this season. And I thought in no game were we disgraced, you know, and that's what I want to continue. I want to continue that trend. And over 46 games, it's going to be difficult, but I might have one more day of enjoyment, but I'm definitely in planning mode at the moment. We'll I'm sure I'll be chatting with Rob in the coming days and Pete and Andrew and seeing exactly where we go from here.
Yeah, Rob, talk us through the immediate future. I think when I opened my emails this morning, there was one from you bringing us back down to planet Earth and keeping us focused, as you always do, and as you have every right to do so as our chairman. What do the next few days and weeks look like for you as chairman?
Well, I felt like giving you guys 8 hours was plenty. I didn't know that you were going to take a vacation, for God's sakes. And I had to give Pete today off, and he's begging for tomorrow, and so we've compromised at half a day tomorrow. No, here's the way it works. I need for Gareth and Dabo to take time to reflect and to enjoy. Same thing I told you, Matt. Let's enjoy this experience because it is unique. And when you internalize that enjoyment, what happens with ambitious people, you want to succeed again. So it's not altruistic when I say take the moment and enjoy it. It's with design. So while these guys are sort of soaking it in, on the commercial side, you know that we've already stepped forward. We're going to have the most modern stadium in the UK in terms of communications ability and the like. We've already planned, this doesn't shock anybody who knows me, the work that needs to be done on the facility. We've got our commercial guys beating the doors up. I feel sorry for the people who didn't buy their season tickets because I don't know how we get them in now. But Mr. Cook and others are trying to work with me to come up with a few more spots. We're going to do that. We're going to give these guys the budget that they need. And I suspect Gareth and I will visit each other as we do. One of the great things about our relationship is we're very direct with each other. Yeah. Here's what I want. Here's what you can have. No, yes, bang. Let's move on. There's not a whole lot of whining or crying, and off we go. From my own personal perspective, the biggest disappointment is the hotel told me that I can come over, but if I do, I can't see anybody for 14 days. So all of my plans that I made at 2 o'clock this morning have now been dashed. We'll be working from here. And we're going to make next year a great year. You know, we're only 46 games away from being promoted. So, I'm teasing. But look, I went back and, you know, because I had a lot of time on my hands between 1 o'clock this morning and 6 when my time, I went back and looked at our first interview that Matt, you conducted with us, with the fans, and people asked about what our goals were. And here we are. You got to have goals. You got to get them. We'll get there.
Absolutely. I'm going to bring Dan into the room because Dan, I'm sure, would have been absolutely wild last night. Dan, how was it for you, mate?
Yeah, very, very well. I kind of made South London loud, I think. I did my best through.
We're just proud of you for showing up today.
Well, I know, right? You can just see the marks, I think. No, amazing. I can't, you know, I only wanted to drop in to just say thank you, really, to everyone. Thank you to Phil on the comms for kind of keeping us engaged for so long. Obviously, thank you to you, Matt, for all the work you do. Thank you for Rob for coming in. And, I mean, yeah, no words of praise are enough for the man there. Gaz, I just wanted to ask you one question, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
As the man in charge, you're not really allowed to visibly dream or let us know what's really going on in your head there. But what was the moment this season when you thought, okay, this could actually turn into something really, really, really special?
Early on, probably Lincoln City at home. Yeah, early on, because we obviously we had to clear out the squad at the end of last season. I met Rob in June. We had some fantastic chats about what we could do, and I had plenty of space in the squad, and I started signing these names that I never thought would be attainable: Wheelers, Onyedinmas, you know, Grimmers, people like this, and I thought, okay, that's gone well. Smith, people like that, but then they have to play, and then we started this season, and we started turning teams over. With some fantastic games at home. Your South Ends and your MK Dons, you know, and I just felt there was goals in the team. And then we put a strategy in place against Lincoln City, a lot like we did second half against Fleetwood, with a deep press where we sat in and tried to counter this team. And I thought, right, this is going to be a test. Are these boys going to take this on? We're developing the tactics all the time. We're trying to, and they took it on to a T. I don't know if you remember that game, but I mean, they had very little in that game at all. And I just thought, you know what? These boys are receptive. They're adaptable. They're all fit. We've got some good players. I just thought, you know, this could be, and everyone was talking about Lincoln and the Cowleys and them going top of the league. And that day, Wycombe went top of the league. And it was like a massive shock. Everyone was like, oh, that wasn't meant to happen. It was meant to be Lincoln going to top of the league. The Sky TV were there. Lincoln were meant to go top, and the Cowleys were being touted for Huddersfield and that. And Wycombe went top and spoiled the party. And I just thought, you know what? I think we've got a chance this year. And that's obviously been proven right. But it's been a tough year. But I'm so proud.
It's the exact same day as me, really. I think, Matt, I was talking to you about this the other day. As you're right, there was so much talk about the Cowleys and Lincoln and how they were going to give us a good go at trying to walk the park when they came to Adams Park that day. And I've never seen such a controlled game where 2 goals were called direct from the corner. At the end, we were knocking it around, and it was just phenomenal.
Yeah. No,
and let me just tell you, Dan, that Gareth backed it up when he and I met, I want to say in either November or Christmas time, and he sat across, because we would have an occasional early morning coffee away from everybody. And he told me, we can do this thing, Rob. That's when he talked to me about Jason, and he talked to me about Stockdale and a couple of others, and bang. And I was questioning him. I said, look, we're near the top of the table. We've played well. Are you confident? And he said, yes, let's go.
Yeah, no, I remember. I'm sorry, and I remember you back in McCarthy, Rob, and you were saying this is a big deal bringing this guy in, and we'd lost Jack Grimmer, and Rob finally agreed and went, yeah, if that's your man, you go for your man. And believe me, there wasn't a more pleased man when he scored on his first game, thinking that justifies that decision so well. But Jason played a huge part, and David Stockdale again. Yesterday, he's a ringleader in the ones who weren't playing, and he got everybody singing and shouting on the sidelines. You wouldn't believe how much that the non-playing staff over the last 3 games have the non-players, the non-11, everyone else just belting noise out just to try and encourage the boys. And Stockdale was the loudest of them all, you know. And again, great character to have around the place.
It's interesting you speak about McCarthy's first goal, because that was the cross come shot kind of thing, and that's obviously what caught us out yesterday. What do you do as the boss there, Gaz, when that kind of shot goes in, when you set up with a low press to defend so well, and then that kind of cross goes in? How do you keep everyone's chins up?
Yeah, that was a tough one yesterday, but if I'm being honest, Dan, yesterday I thought if you split the game into 4 quarters because of the water breaks, as I said, I thought that third quarter belonged to Oxford. I thought they really came at us. They played some good stuff, and we were on the back foot. There's no doubt. I'm not stupid enough to say we were the better team yesterday. At times, no chance. Oxford were really on us on that, and if it could have been either of 3 chances. I think the header was saved fantastically by Ryan. Another header from a corner. I think there was a flash across the goal where Anthony Stewart just got a stud on it. It felt like we're under pressure, and I thought, you know, if we're gonna break, it's gonna be in this period here. And you know, it was a bit fortunate, but once that water break came in, I said to the boys, right, that's you've rolled that storm, fantastic. Well, this is the last quarter now. Let's see what you've got. Let's see what they've got, and let's see what you've got. And we were talking before the game. We did a lot of prep before the game. I was showing videos of fans and people and everything. And funnily enough, the talk came into the last quarter, and it was just awesome the way that they responded. And you know, as much as anyone, you know, and Nick Freeman and Alex Patterson's running that ball into the corner. And those moments I'll never forget. Blow your whistle, ref, blow your whistle, you know. And yeah, just an amazing experience. But yeah, it was tough. I'm not going to. You don't blame your keeper. You don't blame anyone. It's a freak thing, and cross shots, and yeah, we were good to dust ourselves down and get going again. But I think that little break of momentum helped us.
You did a good job.
Can I ask you a fan question?
Go for it.
We were sitting around in my living room last night, and the game's just about to end, and you put Nick in for Fred. What was the thinking?
For me, yeah, Fred had a huge run, a recovery run just before I took him off, and so Nick was ready, and I saw Fred as a manager. You've got your little tells on the players, and I saw Fred's legs go on that run. It was the only run though where I saw his legs go, and he just gave up on that last second. I had Nick primed. Nick was ready to go, and that was the moment when I said Nick. It also helped that Fred was over the other side of the pitch, and it took a little bit of time as well.
Never, not Wickham, no.
But listen, this is a genuine one this time. I just saw his legs. If you watch the video back, he does a big recovery run on the wing back they're playing, and his legs I just saw a visible. Oh, he's just lost a bit of pace there. This is the time, and trusting Nick was the right decision.
Well, and then it was interesting because when Nick came in, he had that pace and he was able to make that play down the side. This is from a guy who knows nothing. So, but it looked to me like he had that pace and he was able to validate that substitution on that one play.
Definitely. Well, the plan was always Wheeler. The plan was Wheeler coming off for Nick because Wheeler really was shot on Monday. He really was shot to pieces after the Fleetwood game. So the plan was always Patterson for Bloomfield. That was going to happen because Bloom's obviously with his legs. But Wheeler was and I kept saying to Dave, are you okay? Are you? And he's gaffer. I'm fine. I'm feeling great. And it helped. He was close to me. He kept saying, great. So Nick, I felt for Nick because Nick's expecting to go on, but he got his moment, and that was important as well. But no, the plans sometimes need to be changed and adapted. And Fred did his part, but Nick more than justified the last 5 minutes. He saw the game out for us really well.
Absolutely. Dan, one last comment from you. I've got another guest in the waiting room about to call in, but how do you sum it up? What's your overarching message as a Wycombe fan right now?
It's kind of an odd one to describe. It's doing such a great job of trying to keep everything going, but it's one of those moments where you never think it's going to happen, and then it does, and you want to savor it the whole night. We're in the Championship. I don't really ever want to play a game in the Championship. I just want this little window to carry on forever. And I want Akinfenwa and Bloomfield, I want them to stay as they are. Just like put them in a vat somewhere so they can just never age again. That's all I want. Thank you.
Thanks very much for coming on. We will see you on more of these in future for sure. So enjoy the rest of your celebrations. Take care. I do want to call into the room.
Hey.
Andy Rogers now.
Hello, everybody.
Man, Gaffer, you're a music man.
Yeah.
Rob, I know, but this one caught your eye at the weekend, Rob. Andy, tell us a little bit more about how you spent your last week.
Oh, well, last weekend's games against Fleetwood were just so exciting and set up yesterday's final, which was amazing. And I have to say, as a family, we were sitting around the dinner table on Tuesday evening, and we were songs came to our mind, and the Que Sera Sera song was the one that was going around in our heads. And I said to my daughter, and Louis, who's here as well, I said, we should write some words for this. We should get a whole verse up and running so that we can sing it together as a family. That was our initial kind of thoughts. And then before the night was out, we said, well, wouldn't it be great if we could get some other fans together and get other people to sing the song with us? And within 24 hours, we created some resources. We put it out there. People didn't have very long to respond, but we asked people to sing along to the song. And then we collected the videos in and there was only about 25 fans together. We'll have to do it big style for the next occasion, but it was great to bring people together in that virtual way. I've probably seen so many of these kind of projects going on where musicians and people get together in this way. It's a great way to bring people together musically. I don't think it's ever been done with a set of football fans before, but if anybody was going to do it, it was going to be Wickham, and it was going to be for this occasion. So, and I know we've all got a love of music. I know, Rob, you can't come from that area of the world and not love music, and obviously Gaz with the band, and even Phil, his love of music. He even featured on the one Wickham song last year on the Very Red Records. We were grateful for his contribution on that occasion too. Thanks, Phil.
No worries.
Rob, have you been able to get that song out of your head since hearing it the other day?
I discovered that Missy was going to sing on it, and then she said, "No, I don't believe in Que Sera. We're going to win this thing." So,
well,
but it was wonderful, and I got to tell you, sitting 5,000 miles away, you did so much to unite the entire Wickham community throughout the world. I mean that sincerely. People sent me notes. They applauded us, and it is what makes this a very special team. And I keep using the word community because it's not just the people who go to the games. It's people. We had people in New Zealand yesterday listening to Phil. And I mean, when I say listening, they wanted more precision. They needed to know what was going to happen. That is the story of this team, bringing this Wickham team to the world. And you guys did a great part in it. I don't know how many times it's been played on the internet and views and the like, but I suspect it will shock you when it's all over.
Yeah, well, it was a lot of fun putting it together. And I think, it's been interesting to hear how the squad and the players thinking about the way they've come together and talking about, a team of misfits. I'm not sure about that, but a team of
That was
coming together. That was your point, I know. But actually, the fans have got that story too. Every fan who, they've all got their own story about the way that they found Wickham, the way they fell in love with the place, whether they were introduced to it as a boy or they've come to it in later life or whatever it happens to be. I lost my dad in February. He was a season ticket holder. He'd been a supporter of the club since the 1940s. And, the tinge of sadness yesterday was just knowing that he wasn't there to see Wickham's greatest moment. And, but I know he'll be looking down and he'll be as proud of the team and everything, the club, the community, as anybody else. And, it's just a great way to end this strangest of seasons. And, onwards and upwards now for the next one. And, can't wait for the season to begin, and hope we'll be there to share it with everybody, and we get to celebrate with everybody together very soon as well. So thank you very much to everybody. You're really, really great. You've got so much to cheer about.
Andy, top man, thank you so much, Andy. I'm just going to click you off, I think, because we've got Harrison and Callum about to join us. But yeah, thanks so much for that song. It's going to remain in my head for a long time, I think, certainly. Very catchy. And hey, if you write another one, we might persuade this man to join in on the next one.
Well, I know, yeah, maybe we can team up with the Cold Blooded Hearts. That's number one coming on soon.
Bring it on, top man. Andy, great to see you. We'll see you again soon.
Right.
Take care. Phil, I know we sort of talked about the connection of fans there, and through your podcast that you launched. I mean, what a year to launch a podcast, by the way, with the stories. And I know you've unearthed some great stories from the playing squad, but also some of the supporters around the world as well. And I know you're very active on social media and connecting them as well. And it must be great to be in that position where you can sort of live the life of a Wycombe Wanderers fan through hundreds of different people.
Yeah, it's amazing, really. I mean, when I thought about doing the podcast, everyone goes to games or watches them or gets involved, and then immediately when the whistle goes or during the game, I mean, Gaz will appreciate this. Everyone's an amazing manager when they're watching the game. It's easy in the stand. Everyone would have an opinion on a substitution or tactics, whatever, and they immediately go and talk about that in the pub after the game or online or wherever. They get it off their chest immediately. And I didn't really want to be a podcast where it was just three blokes sat around, moaning about substitutions or something or other, and that was it. And I thought I didn't want this podcast to be that, because everyone does that anyway. They can go and get it off their chest. And it was just an obvious one for me. It was like, well, like I said earlier, there's some great characters and stories around this club. And, and it's finding Ross, the guy who lives in the Cayman Islands, who's got a boat that he's painted in quarters, and that how he moved from the Cayman Islands back to Norway via London but he booked his flight so he could come and see a Wycombe game. I mean, that is a tremendous story. And whilst I'm talking to him, I was doing the gig after the game, so he dropped me off at the airport. On the way to the airport, he was like, yeah, the problem is I've left my boat in the Cayman Islands and I need to sell it. And I was like, are you for real? So then all of a sudden, the podcast became an advert for selling a quartered boat in the Cayman Islands. I was like, well, there must be a Wycombe fan in the Cayman Islands with a bit of cash on the hip to buy this boat. And it's things like that. And I think that's human interest. And it's a bit different than saying, well, I think we should have played 4-4-2 on Saturday. And it's just timeless. And this means it brings us all together a bit more. And, I've got to know Ross. Now he's back in Europe and we see each other when he's in London. And, we've got a massive community in Mexico that's growing now. Last night, the amount of messages I got from Mexico City, for some good friends who support the club through me, they've now started telling their friends who are now obsessed by Adebayo Akinfenwa and they want him to move to Mexico and go and play in Liga MX, which I've said no to, by the way. That's not happening. These stories that just keep coming. I mean, there's a guy, Richard, on Twitter who watched, or he couldn't watch the semi-final. He listened to the commentary on the border of Laos and Thailand, and which at 3:00 in the morning. And it's things like that. You just think, well, football is a wonderful thing, isn't it? How it can bring us all together. It can bring people together literally at the ground, but actually the club and the badge and people engaging however they do in different parts of the world. So for the podcast, you're right, Matt. I mean, it's been a phenomenal story everywhere, on the pitch, off the pitch. A happy accident really to kind of start it. I just wanted to learn how to edit properly, really. And I thought, well, if I make a thing that goes out every week, then by the end of the season, I should be somewhere sort of good at it, really. But it's just been brilliant because the stories just keep popping up. And, even with, I don't know if Gaz heard it yesterday, I tracked down Lee from the Cold Blooded Hearts. And I was like, I wanted to know, how frustrated Lee was because his singer kept disappearing. My favourite band of all time is Madness, and Suggs was kicked out of Madness because he used to go and watch Chelsea play on a Saturday afternoon. So he wasn't in the band for 6 months, and I was like, well, so many bands when I was in a band, there was always commitment issues, and I thought there's a story here, and okay, it's light-hearted and everything, but Lee came on, and the brilliant thing about Lee's interview was he talked about how long he'd known Gaz for 18 years, and he was so natural, and he was just talking about his mate. He wasn't talking about Gareth Ainsworth, the football manager, or Gareth Ainsworth, the professional footballer. He was talking about his really good mate. And that was so human and so lovely. And, we just sat around and talked about music, and it was really beautiful. And it was like to bring a bit of a human interest into a really high pressure playoff situation and get something a bit light-hearted out of it and a bit of relief, hopefully, for people listening in the build-up. And these stories coming everywhere. So if anyone's watching this and they've got something unbelievable they want to tell me, then I'll help you tell that story, because the podcast got nominated for an award this year, and I think it was because it was talking about the unusual things of football. And Danny Baker was my hero on 606, and he talks about people wearing 2 foot wide balsa wood wooden bow ties of Dundee United and stuff, and the weirdest football merchandise you could ever imagine. Don't get any ideas, by the way, Rob. And and that's what really kind of piques my interest, and I'm glad that other people have got involved with it, and it's been popular this season. But we'll see what happens next season and see if I've got the time to keep doing it. Hopefully I have.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to let Rob and Gaz go in a minute. I think they need to catch up offline about some probably quite exciting football stuff going forward. But there's just a couple of guests I want to bring on, because Gaz, I think you were walking down, was it Marlow High Street last week, and you met Harrison and Callum, I believe. You okay, guys?
How you doing, guys? Okay.
I'm going to turn your microphone on. I think you're on mute there.
Hello.
There you go. Can you hear us? You okay?
Yeah.
Talk us through last week. What happened? You bumped into the manager, did you?
Yeah. Yeah, we're just down going to Marlow Park, and then we just saw him. My mum got a bit shocked, and then she said, "Quick, run up the road, and we'll get a quick picture."
And was it just a picture, or what's that you've got with you?
Oh, and I got
nice.
Yeah. No, I'm glad I told you that you'd be able to wear that with pride soon, because we're going to be a championship side, and your support has helped me do that. So thank you very much.
Did you watch all of the game last night, guys?
Yeah,
What did you think?
good. My mum kept screaming every time Oxford had a shot.
Yeah, yeah, she's not the only one. Do you think we deserved the win?
Yeah.
I agree. Good point. And how did you celebrate afterwards?
Went
I
to
don't-
bed.
I don't really know.
Yeah. And what team are you looking forward to seeing next year at Adams Park?
Derby.
Derby. Okay, I'll
Ah.
make sure I remember that one for you.
Well, fantastic. Thanks so much for coming on the show. I know you've been patient. You've been waiting for a while to come on. And I'm glad you're able to meet the Wild thing last week and get that shirt. And hopefully, when the new season begins, we'll see you all down at Adams Park, ready for Championship football. So, Harrison and Callum, thanks very much for joining us. Take care, and we'll see you again soon. And Rob, Phil, I think we're going to call it a day there. I think we've been on for an
Matt,
hour.
I've just got one last very quick question for the gaffer.
Go on.
He was doubtful whether his lucky red boots were going to survive the night. Are they still in one piece?
They are still in one piece, Phil. Listen, I haven't got them on at the moment. I've been home since, you won't believe, but I got home at 6 a.m. They look like they've been through the mill, so there could be some small repairs needed, but I'm sure we're going to see them again. But I've got a real good connection to the US sitting on your left there, who could probably access some more cool cowboy boots. So I'm not concerned. Maybe they'll go in a museum one day, but they definitely brought me the good luck last night.
Guys, you've just been with the local news, and you told a wonderful story of when you got home, the first thing you did.
Yeah, I got home last night. So 6 a.m. we obviously partied into the night a little bit, and the biggest celebratory moment for me was 6 a.m. It's really light outside. I walk in the house and I still have my medal around my neck. And I walked upstairs, and Kane, my 13-year-old son, he was awake. He couldn't sleep with excitement. So I went in his bedroom, put the medal around his neck, and he had the biggest smile on his face ever and said, "We did it, Dad." So moments like that you're never gonna get from anything else except football. And that's why we love it so much.
That's a great story. Matt?
Where's Matt gone?
Phil, you're the only one who knows what he's doing. Why don't you take over this deal and shut us down?
I'm not sure how to do that, Rob, but yeah, it's good to see you, mate. And also, Rob, while we're still here, thank you for getting up at whatever time it was in New Orleans this morning to come on the Three Counties Breakfast Show. It was great to have you on board. I had visions of you staying up all night and doing it. So,
Well, I have to tell you, I told this to Pete, as much as I wanted to be there yesterday, it was probably best if I wouldn't, because then the boys would see that I really am an old man. I would have been long asleep by 6 a.m. this morning and already back up. So good times, and Phil, what a very special year, and we were glad to be part of it. And thank you for hosting us through the year, throughout the world.
it's a pleasure. And I think, on behalf of Wycombe fans, I think, we should really thank you guys as well, because it's been a phenomenal ride this last 12 months. And it's only just beginning, isn't it, really?
Absolutely. You will begin to see, you know me, you will begin to see things in the not too distant future that I think you will be pleased with, as will the fans. So, all right,
Brilliant,
Phil,
right.
I'm gonna leave here and leave everybody with this. Thank you for being a Wycombe fan. We look forward to more.
Wow. Okay. I don't know where Matt's gone. I don't know how to turn this off because he started it. Right. I'm going to shut this down too, or try to. Come on, you Blues. See you all in the Championship. Have a great few weeks off. Take care of each other. And see you soon.